Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. My name is Jay. You're watching Clouded Reactions. So, Jay, Sabaton History Channel, headphones, cookie. Oh, yeah. So, let's just hop right on in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erwin Rommel.
Yes, and I am Erwin Rommel's assistant, Candy. And this is Sabaton History.
Candy.
You asked for it, and now you got it.
Ghost Division.
You wanted the best?
You got the best!
Ghost Division! At 5:30 a.m. on May 10th, 1940, the great German gamble in the West, Case Yellow, was about to begin. General Major Erwin Rommel had just a few months earlier been transferred from the Führer Begleit Battalion to the command of the German 7th Panzer Division. As part of the 15th Motorized Armee Corps, it would be the mission of his 7th to guard the right flank of Panzer Group Kleist, which was to drive a Schwerpunkt into France. His immediate goal was to penetrate the Belgian border defenses and push through the densely forested and hilly terrain of the Ardennes forest as quickly as possible. Time was essential. They only had a short window of 3 or 4 days to cross the River Meuse. If they did not manage that, the whole offensive might fail. From the get-go, Rommel pushed his division hard. Vital to his advance were the motorcycle and armored reconnaissance units of Kradschützen Battalion 7, who raced ahead to scout and clear the quickest route for his tanks. These ultra-mobile units could not only cover a large distance much more quickly than any tank, but also could carry enough firepower to tackle obstacles and resistance. Advancing rapidly, the division moved the first day across the river Ourthe and made headway to Dinant, advancing 90 kilometers in a single day. They soon outpaced their neighboring units, the 5th Panzer Division to the north and the 23rd Infantry Division to the south, and contact was repeatedly lost. With the Meuse just 35 kilometers away, Rommel wanted to...
So they just pushed ahead by themselves, huh? I remember they said that in the song, too. Without communications, self something. So dang, they just went like gung-ho, leave everybody else behind. We'll show you guys how to do it.
Lost. With the Meuse just 35 kilometers away, Rommel wanted to rest for a minimal amount of time and be on the move again as quickly as possible. Looking neither left nor right, he raced ahead with his forward units of his tanks, keeping close contact only with his reconnaissance units. At Dinant, they smashed through a strong French force, and the 7th got its first real taste of armored combat. By the afternoon of the 12th, his forces had already reached the mighty River Meuse. Now, this far, Rommel had enjoyed the blessings of his superior, General Hermann Hoth, who supported the idea of aggressive tank spearheads. Taking risks was necessary, and thanks to Rommel, the Meuse had been indeed reached in record time. But it needed to be crossed. Kleist, commanding the whole Panzer Corps, opted to rest his units for the night. After they had reorganized and gotten enough support from the air, they would begin the crossing of the Meuse late afternoon the next day. Rommel, however, thought that air support would be modest at best, and instead ordered only a short rest for his division. At first light, the 7th went on the attack again. It was a hard fight. The French would not let...
I wonder if, did he have like permission to do that? I wonder if he got like penalized for that. Well, probably not in hindsight. Well, I mean, like, while he was doing that, like, everybody woke up and was like, hey, where's the 7th Division? Where'd they go? It's like, there he is, sir. He's over there taking on the war all by them damn selves. Like, I'm sure there's a plan that you have to follow. I wonder if he got in trouble for, like, just doing his own thing.
Them cross without resistance, but the hasty attack... It was a hard fight. The French would not let them cross without resistance, but the hasty attack prevented the French from putting together enough force to stop them. Personally leading his tanks across the Meuse, Rommel remained always close to the fighting. From his experience as a stormtroop leader in the Great War, Rommel knew the importance of keeping the initiative. Speed would be both their sword and their shield. The faster they advanced, the more...
Hold on, I got hung up on something. Did he say stormtrooper?
Experience as a stormtroop leader in the Great War, remained always close to the fighting. From his experience as a stormtroop leader in the Great War, Rommel knew the...
There was a unit called stormtroopers? I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Importance of keeping the initiative. Speed would be both their sword and their shield. The faster they advanced, the more likely it was to catch the enemy off guard. They had to ensure that the battle would be fought on their terms.
That's the sign. That's the hallmark of a good tactician. Know your enemy, because if you know your enemy, you know how they're gonna react, and you can counteract that. Or if you want them to act a certain way, all you gotta do is kind of nudge them in the direction that you want them to go, that you know they're going to do because you know them so well. And that way you can play on your own advantage. So that's, like I said, a hallmark of a good tactician. So yeah, we're definitely talking about just his 7th Panzer Division. Leading the way, pretty much, yeah, he's the one that went head first and forgot everybody else, left them in the dirt. Wonder if he was striving for something, trying to just prove himself.
While the mass of German troops was busy crossing the Meuse all that whole day, Rommel did not even think of rest. He had to move west, ever west. It did not take long for strong French and Belgian forces to find them. Their superior heavy Char B-1 and SOMUA tanks threatened his troops with disaster time and time again. But Rommel's energetic leadership and improvisation skills gave him the upper hand. He was not afraid to take immense risks now, as this whole endeavor was one big risk anyway. For example, one misty morning they were surprised by a French tank attack. Rommel went right up to the front, ordering his troops to fire their signal pistols at the incoming tanks. Surprised and confused, the French tanks veered off. That gave Rommel's artillery enough time to find its targets. By the night of the 14th, the Germans had successfully punched through the last...
Who would think of that? To fire their... Who? Wow. And even worse, the French, after seeing that, didn't know what to do. They didn't know what was going on. Maybe signaling like an airstrike was coming, so they just moseyed off instead to maybe preserve their tanks. That is a very good improvised strategy, I guess you could call it that.
And confused, the French tanks veered off. That gave Rommel's artillery enough time to find its targets. By the night of the 14th, the Germans had successfully punched through the last line of defense at the Meuse River. The command, "Pursue with all weapons," meant that French resistance in that area had been broken. The next day, Rommel found himself staring down the French-Belgian border at Montcornet, as a halt order was imposed on all of Hoth's divisions. They were standing in front of the extended Maginot Line. It was not as well fortified as the Maginot Line to the east and south, but still dangerous enough that they were given the direct order to not risk the tanks and leave it to the infantry to break through. By late afternoon of the 16th, though, Hoth gave the cautious order to probe the defenses. However, he almost immediately clarified that no breakthrough should be attempted. But Rommel was long gone by then. The 7th Division crossed the French border on its own and spotted a whole system of interlocking concrete bunkers with armored cupolas, tank ditches, and other obstacles. At first glance, it seemed impossible to break through without heavy artillery and air support. But as the sun was fading, Rommel decided to attempt something unseen before in military history: a surprise armored night attack directly against a fortified line while on the move. It was near suicidal, but it was also the last thing the French fortress divisions had anticipated that night. The first tanks of Rommel's armored wedge smashed through the first defenses before the French were able to react. Still, resistance was formidable. Vehicles were knocked out left and right by anti-tank guns and artillery firing from the bunkers. Nevertheless, enough German tanks were already within the perimeter to silence the forward bunkers with direct hits. In that lull, the 7th Combat Engineers moved into action, throwing themselves with satchel charges and flamethrowers against the fieldworks. Firing on the move to all sides, the panzers sped on, quickly followed by the agile motorcycle companies. The only way to escape now was forward. At top speed, they raced towards the French artillery, never stopping. At 11 at night, they had finally punched through the second line and suddenly saw only open terrain in front of them. Rommel wrote this in his diary: "We were through the Maginot Line. It was hardly conceivable. 22 years before, we had stood for 4.5 long years before those self-same enemy and had won victory after victory, but yet finally lost the war. And now we had broken through the renowned Maginot Line and were driving deep into enemy territory. It was not just a beautiful dream, it was reality. But even this unimaginable success would be only temporary if not exploited. Instead of stopping, Rommel drove his armored spearhead onward, speeding at night over the French roads toward the city of Avesnes. They suddenly crashed right into the French 5th Motorized Infantry Division, which had neatly parked its tanks and vehicles on the roadside before going to sleep. Now, they awoke to the sound of grinding metal and the fire of heavy guns. Paralyzed by the sudden, violent appearance, the surviving French scattered in all directions, throwing down their weapons in panic. Rommel was gone.
Who would throw all their weapons in a panic mode during a war? Especially when guns are like blazing everywhere, missiles dropping everything. I might be scared. I might get like paralyzed. I don't know what I would do in the situation. But I would hope I would hold on to that whatever gun I have with dear life. That's my last line of defense right there. That's all he got. Man, oh man.
On as quickly as he had arrived. All along the road to Avesnes, the French were caught by surprise, and soon the night was illuminated by burning tanks and trucks. By 6 a.m., Rommel stood at the Sambre River, but as the sun rose, he came to the grim realization that he was in a seriously dangerous situation. He'd been so busy advancing, almost 50 kilometers over the night, that he had not noticed that only the few tanks of his spearhead and a handful of motorcycle platoons had been able to keep up with his ludicrous speed. In fact, much of the main body was still at the Maginot Line and on Belgian territory. Ammunition and fuel were low, so Rommel ordered his battered and exhausted tank crews to guard the bridge, while he himself would establish contact with the rest of his forces.
Dang, so if the bulk was still at the... So how many did he ride with then? Kind of reminds me of the movie Troy when they're on the beach, and I think it's Achilles who clears the whole beachfront pretty much by himself in his little, his little squadron. After he takes, I think it's Apollo's temple or something like that, he just looks back and just looks at what he did. And the other guys aren't even off their boats yet. That's pretty much kind of like probably the same feeling. That is insane. That is just insane.
It must have dawned on him that his daring exploit had left his forces isolated in the midst of enemy territory. So, pedal to the metal, the crew of his armored command vehicle raced back along the same road back to the east. News spread fast. French soldiers spoke of a German breakthrough, causing further chaos and confusion. French high command tried to make sense of the reports, which seemingly multiplied the advancing forces by the hour. No one knew where this German division was or what it had planned, so this operation earned the 7th Panzer Division the French nickname La Division Fantôme, the Ghost Division.
That's why. There was a lost battalion, and not lost, but like they didn't know where it was. Then that's crazy. Like usually people or a whole nation or the army or whoever it may be will give themselves the nickname. It's more potent and creates more of a story actually when another unit or the opposite team, the opposite forces gives you a nickname. Especially a nickname like that, man, the Ghost Division, because they didn't know where the heck was at. It broke through so fast and they don't have no idea where it's at. Yeah, that would make the lines all kinds of frantic. Because you never know if you're about to get hit. You don't know where they're at.
On his way back, Rommel encountered whole columns of confused, directionless French soldiers whose officers did not know how to react to the news. It could not have helped that suddenly a German armored vehicle was racing towards them from the other direction, firing wildly and scattering them off the road. Rommel ordered his driver not to stop for anything, but suddenly they were behind a large column of trucks moving towards the front. Now, bear with me here. The convoy of 40 trucks was guarded with machine guns, and Rommel drove up and passed it. Then he stopped the lead vehicle, told the French officer to stand down, and then ordered the crew of 40 trucks to get out and disperse. And he basically did this with his commanding tone and his German general's uniform alone. And this is not the only occasion he did something like that. And such was the chaos that French soldiers actually came up to his vehicle, hopefully asking, "Anglais?" But it was a ghost division for German command as well. Rommel had presented them with a fait accompli. The French lines were breached, but on such a narrow front that many believed it was a trap set by the French to lure them in. Nonetheless, the success of his unauthorized push had not only saved countless German lives, but also decisively sped up the whole campaign by days or even weeks. The French Second Corps had dissolved in panic. The 1st French Armored Division was more or less wiped out, and many other French divisions were disorganized or badly mauled. Rommel's attack was an extreme version of German operational warfare, but its strongest effect was psychological. Anything short of a breakthrough would have seen Rommel court-martialed, but his success earned him the Knight's Cross instead. Adolf.
So because their successes, he got medals. Obviously, I guess, because if he would have went out there and didn't succeed, and he just wasted his whole battalion, wasted his whole division, yeah, he would have gotten court-martialed and God knows what else. He obviously he got lucky that all of it worked, but like I said, man, tactician.
Court-martialed, but his success earned him the Knight's Cross instead. Adolf Hitler himself congratulated Rommel after the campaign, but also scolded him with the words, "Your raid has cost me a sleepless night." Hitler was certainly not the only one.
They had a whole tank on stage? Okay.
Now, Ghost Division is one of the most, if not the most, requested songs of this entire Sabaton History series. And we haven't specifically saved it to starve people of what they want to see, but we wanted to space out like your hits and your most popular songs and stuff. Okay, so now we're here at Ghost Division. What's the first thing that leaps to your mind when you think of not the fans, not the popularity of the song, but the song?
Oh, good question. So much. I mean, it was new for us, that style being so hard-hitting and direct, but also so many memories. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the strongest memories we can have from a concert is the first couple of seconds on stage. Sometimes, we might have been on the stage sound checking, which
Yeah,
we
sure.
usually have, rarely see in the crowd. And for us, imagine some of the strongest memories I have is running out in front of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, and in a few cases, hundreds of thousands of people with the words, "Fast as the wind, the invasion has begun." Those are powerful.
That's pretty impressive how artists cannot get winded. This guy is running up and down the stage, shouting at the top of his lungs. Like, not only is his lung capacity like chef kiss level, I don't know what he's doing, but it's a crazy amount of endurance that this guy's got.
Full memories, my friends. That is, wow. Yeah, I got a reel playing in my head. I wish I could show you what's going on in my head right now. This is a weird one, actually. I remember it very clearly. It's how we're standing on stage. This is in Athens, 2008, 2009.
Okay, a little while ago.
Yeah, and we're playing the song Ghost Division. And all of a sudden, everything goes, I'm still singing this, but everything goes into slow motion mode. Or, maybe moving at a higher
So far, this is
frequency.
incredibly hippie, and I have
Yeah.
no idea where you're going with this.
There were no drugs involved in this experience. Anyway, I remember totally like, whoa, here I am in Greece, having a great time on a stage, great crowd, and I haven't had any other job in over a year. I guess I'm a professional musician. And that's how I realized.
Wow. Okay, that's a great ending to that. I really wondered where you were going with that. That's
No, that's how I
that's a
realized.
major pivotal moment in your life.
It was, and I wasn't, I always loved music. I always wanted to play music.
That's right, because I forgot this is their first album where they actually centered around war lyrics and war events in history. So this is when he realized, oh man, I found my calling.
But for me to have that as my main profession, it wasn't a huge life goal. My life did not depend, or my happiness did not depend on that happening.
Okay, sure.
I loved playing music. I was going to do it as long as I could, but I always thought I'd do something else on the side. I'd train for radio stuff, music production,
Sure,
stuff like that.
I mean, it's kind of cool that he kept himself grounded in bass just in case it didn't work out. He could fall back to something else. But some people they're just dedicated. They're saying, you know what? No, I'm going to be an artist, or I'm going to be this and that. And they just go for gold, just throw everything on the line, and they just go head first. Sometimes it pays out dividends in the end. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But luckily, it worked out for him. And like I said, he didn't quit his second job, or he didn't think he would ever have to do it, because he made sure that he didn't get lost in the clouds,
So I thought
You are a good studio guy. Like, even you like to sit around and twiddle by
Yes,
yourself.
I do.
Yeah, so.
So, I mean, I thought I'd be related to it, in the industry somehow. But for me to just realize that, bam, on stage, this is over 10 years ago now. I remember that so clearly.
I have a very important question, and I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for all of the people. What was your last job before you didn't have to have?
I don't know why, but he kind of looked like a school teacher back in the day. I don't know. If you guys don't know what he did, well, you guys probably do. I was going to say guess in the comments, but Sabaton fans are on another level.
Of another job.
Y'all probably know his shoe size and everything.
The very last one. You don't have to say which McDonald's it was.
How did you know?
I just lucky.
No, it was for one of Sweden's larger telecommunications companies.
Okay.
Everything from helping customers on the phone to what also, if somebody was a technician and patching a phone line, and they needed to know which patch to go into to connect the new phone service and stuff like that.
Oh, was this done only by phone or internet?
Wasn't expecting that at all, actually.
No, I was on the phone all the time. I would basically be on a computer terminal looking at. No, you can't use patch B5 because it's busy there. You'll have to go in through that one or install a new one.
But this is okay. This is a proper professional job. This is a white collar job.
Yep.
It's and had you not been famous, you could see yourself doing specifically that for the next 40 years, something along those lines.
No, not really. When I did that, I would only get contracts for a couple of months and stuff. Yeah. And I remember clearly that I wanted to ask them for leave.
Yeah.
Where before we did the 2006 tour with Edguy and Dragon Force, we went on tour there. I asked for leave for 2 months, and can I come back? And they told me no, I couldn't.
Going on tour.
I'm going on tour. Fuck you guys, basically.
So there's a major tour, that's with Edguy and Dragon Force. That
was the first big tour we did with Nightliners and everything. So for us, it wasn't easy deal for me.
You're not going to say no to that. I mean, actually, to be honest, there are a lot of people that would say no to that, and that's a shame.
Yep.
Because okay, I understand. Let's say if you have a pregnant girlfriend or a pregnant boyfriend, and you have to take care of. I'm trying to be gender neutral.
Yeah.
You're trying to take care. Yeah, I can understand. No, I've got to do a response. But it was just you.
Yeah, it was just me, and it's also I totally understand. Everybody chooses a different path in life, and I am lucky in that way that I didn't have a super good employer, and I'm lucky that I didn't have a really good.
And that you came back.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, for me, it was an easy choice.
Yeah.
So I mean, in many cases, I know several really good musicians myself that aren't musicians because they. It's not only about their choices. It's where are you in your life when you have the opportunity to do something with your music? Have you spent years on another career? Do you have a good employer? Do you have a kid on the way?
Yeah.
All of these things. So I mean, I gotta say we are pretty damn lucky. There's many good musicians out there that
I'm absolutely
that didn't do it.
And I'll tell you what. I've just decided. Okay, you know how this episode is going to end? I want you to Photoshop it so it looks like he's flipping burgers, right? And then I want you to play really uplifting music, like, heartbreaking, like. No, it's not going to be. It doesn't have to. Just a still picture.
Okay.
Something. They're probably showing actually us talking about this, right? You know that. But I want it should say something like, to all those great musicians unsung. Thank you from Sabaton history. To all those musicians who sacrificed their musical lives for duty, for family, for honor,
serious.
for fear, for complacency, or for even a better life. 10 points.
They are the bombs that are beat, all the complete, never get tricked. Living or dead, always ahead, dead by your grace. Bombs that are beat, all the complete, never get tricked.
Okay, unfortunately, I gotta cut this video a little bit short because I'm running out of time and space off of my phone. But dang, I didn't realize he was more of like leading the way, leading the charge, no fear. I think I said it before, man, but a lot of Sabaton songs could just be anthems for these nations, man. I'm surprised that they're not. I'm also surprised, too, that you don't hear a lot of Sabaton. You don't hear a lot of... Like, how come they never got airwave? Like, just mainstream airwave. Like, a lot of their songs, without, like, take away the history part aspect, some of their songs are just upbeat or, like, just popping. Great lyrics. And it's not even talking about anything too gruesome or anything. Nothing too, nothing too controversial or anything like that. A shame. A damn shame. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. I certainly enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are staying safe out there and be kind to each other. And I will catch you guys in the next one.